What is up, my friends? How are we? You're very welcome along to tonight's show. Not a day that I thought I was going to have, to be honest with you, as I woke up today. I will fill you in on what all of this is about, why I'm incredibly offended by it all, why my family have cancelled their holiday away and spent the next couple of days trying to figure this out and correct the incorrect assumptions that have been made about me, my reputation, and a lot more. So, I'm going to go through this as honestly, as quickly, and as fairly as I can. So, I woke up today. I would say this morning, but sure, you know me better than that. I don't do the AM. So, I woke up today, and my mate sent me a message going, "Did you say it? Did you nearly say it?" And I says, "Jimbo, what are you on about, mate?" And he said, "Apparently, you called somebody a numpty, but you stumbled over your word." And I thought, yeah, I definitely said someone's a numpty, mate, 100%. So, let's start off with how this comes about. So somebody sees me stumbling over the word numpty on a watch-along and assumes I wanted to say the N-word. Why is this laughable? Well, for a couple of reasons. Context, as I always say, is important, and the people who are trying to cancel me, once again, have had to go to extreme measures to try to do it. So let's look at a bit of context. Who did I call a numpty? The white, bald English referee. So, in what planet would I be stumbling over a word that I've never used, never will use, and haven't used on any stream or on any content? Why would I stumble over that word to describe a white referee, a white, bald referee, who I called a numpty very clearly, and that I stand over 100%. So that is the start of the day of absolute shithousery that has started with people trying to destroy my reputation for stumbling over the word numpty. Numpty. So I couldn't be any clearer about that one. If I'm being entirely honest and I'm trying to think of my thought processes, is there a world where maybe I was going to call him a nonce? Maybe. That would be something that would go through my thought process. But even if I was going to say that, I didn't. I stopped and said numpty. So that's the first part of all of this that is absolutely despicable, disgusting, and once again, people trying to take down a decent human being for saying the word numpty and assuming I wanted to call somebody the N-word. That, I hope, explains that situation. So firstly, white referee, bald referee, and I'm in the middle of a rant at a referee, and I call him a numpty. So there isn't even a context to which I would call him the N-word. So that is absolutely farcical. But then it carried on. So then the day went on, as it does, and people said, well, let's go back. Let's go back to all of Craig's content to see if we can find anything to cancel him with. And they found something, and I'll explain this to you. So I'm going to bring it up on screen because I want you to have the same context as I do. So I'm going to bring this up for you first and foremost. This one. So let's look at the upper right-hand corner. It's a tweet that said, yeah, mate, you're a big half English, half Italian P word. You can read that for yourself. Now, you've been told we could have a contender for the wanker's wanker. So somebody found that and said that I'm trying to call this person a half English, half Italian P word. Now, let me give you the context to it, because context is important in all of this, as always. Somebody called my friend, who was Show Me the Money LFC at the time, my friend, somebody called him that, and I said to him, yeah, mate, you've been told you're a half English, half Italian P word. So again, absolutely out of context, and I'm defending somebody who's been called that. And you don't need to believe me. Look underneath that white tweet. Bottom, underneath it. Somebody called Susie said to me, Craig, that's not nice, or something along those lines. And I replied, you do know I'm messing with him. He's my good mate. I'm taking the piss out of the original poster. Now, of course, conveniently in all of this, the original post has been deleted because the account is gone. So you absolute scumbags have gone through 9 years of my Twitter to try to find something I did to cancel me. And here's proof that I'm friends with this guy, by the way. See? What are these tweets saying? Same month after this incident. If there's one account I'd recommend all Liverpool fans to follow, then it's at SMTMLFC. Final and biggest shout out goes to my favourite Liverpool account on Twitter. The lad is a huge red and a top bloke. So again, context is important. And these scumbags are trying to cancel me for nothing. Nothing. Now, I've often said there's one thing I carry importantly and wholly in this life, and that is my goddamn reputation. You've had a pop at me for nothing. Because remember how all this started? I said the word numpty. Numpty! And this is what people want to try cancel me for. Fuck each and every one of you that tried to cancel me for that. Fuck each and every one of you. You do not know what you've put me and my family through today. You absolute scumbags. So I have fuck all to apologise for, and I will be making no apology because I have done absolutely nothing wrong, you low-life scumbags. Imagine that. Imagine seeing somebody stumble over a word and go straight to, he wants to call somebody the N-word. When I'm talking about the full context clip is up there. It's 27 seconds long. Go have a look at it and see if you think I wanted to say the word, the N-word, to a white, bald English referee. This is absolutely fucking disgusting. And once again, it's not enough that people are threatening to rape my autistic son in emails, trying to bomb and put bomb threats to my shows. Now I'm having people try to make me out to be a racist? I would challenge anybody to find somebody who is more inclusive in their content than I am. I go out of my way to show love and respect to people. This has hurt. This has cut deep. This has gone at what I am as a human being. Because some nobody that never met me takes something that just popped into their head, runs with it, and then goes back through 9 years. 9 years of tweets to try to find something. And even when they find it, they're wrong. Again, let me show you. There's the tweet. The one in the white is what I'm being called out for. Me saying to my mate, yeah, you're a half English, half Italian P word. You've been told we could have a contender for the wanker's wanker. Clearly talking to my mate to say, yeah, this lad's an idiot, isn't he? It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable that I'm even having to come on here to defend myself. For the love of God. Is this what we've come to? Threatening to rape my autistic son isn't enough. Threatening to blow up the venue I'm doing my shows in isn't enough. Threatening to beat me and my family up if we go to a game isn't enough. Now you're trying to fucking cancel me for something I didn't do? I called somebody a numpty, for God's sake. A numpty. So in what world do I deserve the crap that's come my way today? Like I said, go through all of my content for the whole time I've been making it and find me one example where I've used a slur against anybody's nationality, sexual orientation, religion or anything else. It doesn't happen because it doesn't exist. I thought if there's one thing I've proved myself on, is that I'm a good human being. You mightn't agree with me. You mightn't like what I say. But I have never and will never do what these people are trying to accuse me of. How dare they? How fucking dare they? Faceless arseholes hiding behind keyboards yet again. Because they don't have to answer to the false accusations. They can sit at home sniggering. And this will tarnish me. No matter what happens now, some people will have seen one version, don't go out of their way to find out what's gone on, and my name will be tarnished. For what? For what? For nothing. Because you don't like me. That's it. It's not because I've done something. It's not because I've hurt you or your family. It's because you don't like me. And you're trying to get me cancelled. You can't beat me competitively. You can't beat me for views. You can't beat me for content. You can't beat me for work rate. So you try to take cheap shots. So like I've said, fuck each and every last one of you that are trying to ruin my reputation. I am a good man. And I've proven it over and over again. Whether it's donating ticket shows to the Crash Victim Fund, whether it's donating money for a wheelchair for somebody, whether it's buying Christmas presents for families in Liverpool who don't have money for their kids, I have fucking earned the right to protect my reputation, and I will. So like I've said, lie about me, take all the cheap shots you want, but I'll defend myself because I know the truth. And the truth is, you invented a scenario and tried to find something to back it up, and you're wrong. So do I expect that these same arseholes will apologise? No, of course they won't. because these scumbags don't have the backbone. My holiday that I've worked 10 months for is gone because I have to deal with this shit. 3.5 grand of my family's money gone because I have to deal with this shit. My show threatened. My son threatened. You fucking lowlifes. And not one person, not one, has come to my defence on social media. Not one person that I've seen. Not one fan account. Not one other content creator. Nobody. For what? For calling a referee a numpty. Which he is, by the way, and a lot worse. So that's what happened. That's what this is all about. Make up your own mind. I've told you what's happened. And like I've said, this is the first time in my life I've got in trouble for not saying something. I stumbled over the word numpty because maybe I was going to say nonce. I'm not sure, to be honest, but maybe I was. But I certainly wasn't going to call a white, bald English referee the N-word. And even on this, even on the tweet, let's look at this. Why would I call somebody a half English, half Italian P word? Doesn't even make sense. So why would I call somebody that? Because if I am one thing, I'm not stupid. So I'm defending my mate, sarcastically calling it out, like I've said. Craig is literally defending a mate of his at the time after somebody called him a big half English, half Italian, blah, blah. Now you've been told is clearly banter among friends. That's what it is. And like I've said, even underneath that tweet, if they had bothered scrolling through my account, they'd have seen me discussing it with a lady called Susie to say, I'm messing with my mate. It is absolutely deplorable. I don't know what to say. You know, like I've said, like me, don't like me, no problem. Take a shot at me for an opinion I have, no problem. But to try to call me a racist, to try to get me cancelled, to be spreading across TikTok, Twitter and every other platform, that is low. That is fucking low. And by the way, for what it's worth, if I did say it, if I did stumble out that word and say it, I'd be the first one on here to hold my hands up. I'd be the first one on here to face what was due to me, like I always do. I don't hide. Honestly feel heartbroken. Look, I don't want your sympathy, but I do want fairness. And in a world where context is really important, I tried to provide it. Remember how this started today. Numpty. The word numpty. That's what all this comes from. Me calling somebody the word numpty. And somebody else going, oh, I stumbled a bit there. He must have wanted to say the N-word to the white referee. It just absolutely dumbfounds me. But like I've said, what else can I say now? I've had my say. The proof is there. The context is there. All of it's there. So, just to summarise this up, before I go through some of your comments, because I'm sure there's questions you want me to answer, and I'm here for that. I don't ever ask for anything from people. Sympathy, anything. But I do ask to be treated fairly. And like I've said, I don't remember anybody coming to help me when somebody was threatening to rape my son, to hurt my family, to blow up the show I was doing in Liverpool. Don't remember these same people that want to cancel me coming across to help me then. But as soon as they get a sniff of a potential way to have a pop, there they are, front and centre, spreading their bile, their lies, and they know it's bullshit. I must be the first man in the history of the planet to get in trouble for not saying something. Not saying it. This isn't like I said it and tried to cover it up. I didn't say anything. And then they go back 9 years. 9 years to a tweet that was out of context, and I've explained the context. That's a new low for me on social media, folks. I don't know what to say. But I'm here to answer any questions you have, so have at it. I've been praying for you. This nonsense won't win. It's already won because my wife's been in floods of tears. We were supposed to fly out tonight on our holiday. That's cancelled. Like, these things have fucking consequences. To me, but not to the scumbags that just throw it out there into the world. Fuck me. Respectfully, Mark, I'm not really... I'll get to your super chat later and we'll talk about Slot and Gakpo and all that, mate. I promise you. You have my full support, brother. Thank you, Mark. Itachi. Shit on you, shit on all of us. Hey, Craig, I don't often watch, but from what I've seen, you're a genuine, passionate guy. Appreciate you. Don't let the cancel mob get to you. Off topic. Arnold will turn things around. Ajax fan here. I have no doubts on the second part, mate. He will. It's frustrating at the moment, form-wise, but we will get there. Nut said, I support you 100%. All of this is despicable. Twitter awful. Think I'm going to delete. Full of hate, said Alex. Jealous people, bro. But the thing is, Mark, on the jealous people thing, like I've said, if I did something, I'd be on here and I'd put my hands up. But they're trying to get me for nothing. They're trying to get me for nothing. Like I've said, find anybody in my community, chat, or any video who I've ever been racially, sexually, or in any other way offensive towards. It doesn't exist. Hold fast, we have your back, sir, and we continue us too. A lifelong subscriber, never heard any racism or slander. Keep your head up, mate. Because it doesn't exist. Even the thing that they're trying to get me for is the word numpty. 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 Like the word numpty. Fuck me. Love you, my man. You're better than these people. MB said, Newcastle fan. I've had banter on here over our two clubs. However, that is effing disgusting. Chin up and F the haters. Involving your family is sick. Like I've said, it's been a tough while, you know. And look, I know I'm emotional in the midst of games, but that's who I am. And if I ever cross the line with that emotion, I will be the first one here to hold my hands up. But I'm not apologising for something I didn't do because some idiot thinks I was stumbling to say a word, again, to a white referee, because that's what was going on at that moment. I was screaming at the referee for an outrageous decision, and I called him a numpty. And thank you, by the way, MB. As a Newcastle fan, you don't need to be here, mate, but I appreciate you being here to support me. Thank you. We got your back, Craig. We love you. Thank you, Wes. Craig Adams said, unbelievable what has happened. That's disgusting. You're a good man. Alexander Isak, not the real one, said, hey, Craig, don't worry. You're a sound guy. Big up. See, the problem is, it's like somebody calling somebody a rapist. And then it's proved that it's absolutely unfounded. That sticks. This shit sticks. And they know it sticks. That old phrase of a lie gets around the world before the truth gets out of bed. It's true. And I have been inundated with messages from my mates today going, what's this about? And one of them, because me and this guy go back to we were children, said, were you going to say it? Were you going to say it? And I said, say what? Because I didn't even know what he was talking about. That's how mad this has been to me. I didn't even know this was going on until my mate alerted me to it. As a lefty who tries to be mindful about the creators I support, being here around COVID, never ever have I doubted your fundamental decency. Thank you. Means a lot. It really does mean a lot. Because like I said, like me, don't like me, no problem. Disagree with my football opinion, cool. Think I'm an asshole, no problem. But I'm not a racist. And I don't carry hate. How can they get away with this? Like I've said, not only is my family now out of pocket, and look, cancelling the holiday was a thing we decided, fair enough, but my wife's in a flood of tears. Because it's not only my reputation, it's my family's name. Numpty is does it mean fool? Yes, numpty means idiot, fool. Same as I use the word omadon, the Irish word for idiot or fool. So a numpty it's used in, like, I would say, children's television almost. Like it's the most, it's one of the cleaner words I use on a daily basis on here. You know? I don't know. I'm going to leave this up there so you can see the context of this again. So, talking to a friend, who, by the way, I don't talk to anymore. Full context, I don't. But, show me the money, underscore LFC. Replying to him, I said, yeah, mate, you're a big half English, half Italian, you know. You've been told we could have a contender for the wanker's wanker. Now, if you think about that, clearly the context is me saying to my mate at the time, yeah, you've been told, haven't you, by this idiot, clearly we have a contender for the wanker's wanker. And even underneath, like I said, look at the tweet directly underneath that white box. A lady by the name of Susie Watson said something to me, and I don't know what it was. And I responded, you do know I'm messing with him. He's my good mate. I'm taking the piss out of the original poster. And that original post has been deleted either because the account's gone or because it got taken down because it broke Twitter's rules. And here's more posts, by the way. Same month. Or maybe, is it the same month? Maybe it's the month before. Bear with me. I want to be factual on this. So that was the 5th of the 5th. And this one here is the 4th of the 5th. So yeah, same month. 19 days later, I'm there saying if there's one account I'd recommend all Liverpool fans to follow, it's show me the money underscore LFC. One of life's real gentlemen and a great source of info and banter. And another tweet, final and biggest shout out goes to my favourite Liverpool account on Twitter. The lad's a huge red, and more than that, he's a top bloke. So again, you can see I have a pre-existing friendly relationship with this guy, who I was still friendly with weeks later. So why would I have said it? For firstly, it doesn't make any sense. If someone's half English, half Italian, why would the P word come into my mind? I can't help the idiot who posted it originally, who clearly isn't, you know, he's a couple of sandwiches short of a picnic, but it doesn't make any sense. I know what derogatory term, if I was to use one in the future, in that scenario would come to my mind. But again, that's my mate at that time, who's being abused by some idiot, and I'm defending him. But, you know, the cancel mob go back 9 years. And again, let's look at the date on this. 9 years. 9 years. 2016. Hadn't even started making content yet at that point. They've gone back that far. First the police threat and now this. What the fuck? I know. Like I said. And I think those tweets or those threats are still up on our X account, by the way. So that's what I've had to deal with over the past month. People putting in bomb threats to my last ever show. And they put the same threats into the show before, by the way. But I still showed up. And I still did the show. And I donated all the money from that show to the crash victims in the Liverpool parade incident. And all the money from the next show is going to Joe Lewis's wheelchair basketball fund. So like I've said, my actions speak for themselves. What type of a human being I am. Whether it's buying presents or jerseys for kids whose parents don't have money at Christmas. Whether it's donating to food banks. I know what type of person I am. And this is just bullshit. And by the way, when I come across aggressively and said, you can all F off, I'm talking to the people who are making these accusations, not the people in my community. Sean said, we're all behind you. Thank you. You deserve that holiday so bad. I feel heartbroken. So do I. Mate, so do I. And as I said, the holiday thing was a family decision. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not looking for sympathy on that. We made that decision. But it's why we had to make that decision, I think, is important here. During my time making content, I had to pull out of going to the Real Madrid game because I was sitting in my living room, my bags packed, my wife and son on the sofa, and we were spending the evening together before it was to fly over. My phone rings with a number I don't recognise. I answer it, and I'm threatened and told if I go to the game, I'm going to be beaten up. My son hears all of this. My young autistic son hears all of this and has a meltdown and said, "Daddy, you can't go, I'm scared." So I cancelled that game and I didn't go. Paddy, Chris, Connor went over. I stayed. Then my live shows, they ring in bomb threats too, and they send email threats. And I have to talk to the venue about that and figure out whether we go ahead. Then that continues. Then I get bombarded with people, again, threatening to rape my autistic child in front of me. And here I am today, about to go on a holiday, and again this shit comes up. I honestly don't know what to say. It's a weird one, because normally if I did something I'd be apologising, but I haven't done anything to apologise for. Kaz said, "Craig, I'll always back you without question. You've done so much for me you probably don't realise. We'll defend you always. To you and your family, send in strength." God bless you and your family. My thoughts are with you. Lee Gunner was defending you on his stream. Bless up to him. Yeah, look, Lee will always defend me because Lee's a good guy. And I've been talking with Lee about it, to be fair. I was messaging Lee earlier on about it. Because it really, like, it started out, like, the tweet part came later in the day. It started out on just the numpty thing. And again, I'm saying, like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. If it was a black player and I was stumbling over a word, and I still didn't say the word, I'd still have nothing to apologise for. But I'm talking about a white referee. Why would I even contemplate the N-word in a scenario involving an anger? And you can go back and watch my rants. I've ranted about referees for years. Many, many, many years. Never once have I gone in that direction. Never once. Because I know when to bite my tongue, believe it or not. I know when to hold off. And I know when I've gone too far. So was I stumbling because I'm trying to process words? Probably. Because remember, it's live content. There is no edit button. So you do process. And I want to say thanks to Angry Ginge, by the way. My wife told me she'd seen him say, I've done a similar thing as well, stumbling over words. So to somebody like him who doesn't like me, to at least have the fairness to say, yeah, we're making live content. Stumbling over words happens. Of course it does. And thank you, by the way, Angry Jeans. Thank you. It's nuts. Have you considered suing for defamation? Who? An aimless Twitter account and TikTok accounts, Alex, that share it, you know? It's not like this has been a newspaper that's printed it or something, bro. It's just some no-mark has an idea in his head, runs with it, and it starts spreading. And I have to come on here to explain myself for doing nothing. And like I've said, even doing all of this, it'll still be going around that I'm a racist. Because, you can't clear your name. It's never fully cleared. Once accusations are made against you, some of it sticks because people don't want to look or find out the truth. They just hear it secondhand and go, oh yeah, I don't like him, definitely a racist. And for the rest of your comment, Alex, these people can't be allowed to do this and get away with it standing with you. Kasawara said, jobless, lifeless people, why do they do this? I don't know, mate. I don't know. And like I said, people will say to me jealousy, but jealous of what? I'm a normal dude. You know? I'm not out here driving Maseratis, living in mansions. I live in a council house, which I hope to buy. I've had a week that I've saved 5 years to get my office. We're just about to break ground on it, sign the contracts on it. I'm probably more happy content-wise than I've been in a long, long time. Just about to finish up. Already kind of disappointed that the Reds going not top of the league and losing to Chelsea. Looking forward for a time to clear my head. And now this. because what? Someone doesn't like me and wants to just throw shit my way. Damien said, how do you, Mark Goldbridge and other big YouTubers, deal with this? I can't speak for other people. I've defended Goldbridge on stuff before, even though we don't get on. Somebody was calling him a racist before about something, and of all the things I know about him being a racist couldn't be further from the truth. I disagree with him on a lot. And I've stood up for Terry Flores before, and I don't like him either. I will always stand up for people who are right when there's falsehood spread against them, whether I like them or not. But I can't speak, Damien, to other YouTubers, how they deal with it. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe they have a thicker skin than me. I'm an emotional person at the best of times. But I just can't figure it out. I just can't figure out what I've done that's so bad that people want to destroy my life. I worked hard to get here. I worked hard. Like I've said, I've come from being in a lockdown ward in a mental institution and being broke, nowhere to live, to clawing my way back and grinding this to this point where it's now my livelihood over 7 years. I couldn't be more proud of what we've built and how we've built it the right way. By being inclusive, by being supportive, by being approachable. And still this happens. I don't know what to say. Ryan said, sorry to hear about that. Threats, pretty atrocious behaviour, but I think it's pretty low of somebody to go back to 2016. That's what I call the lowest of the low. I love the content. So even if they went back to 2016 and they found something that was actually me being racist, or I'd put my hands up. I'd say, yeah, sorry, my mistake. But again, you can see from those tweets, I'm defending somebody who was a friend at the time who's being called this by somebody else. I used to joke that sarcasm is lost on a lot of people. Well, there's a great example of it. Because even when the truth is there, if you look a little bit further down, you find that and you go with it. Aha, I have them. But no, you don't. Because the context is there and it's clear. And normally, I would say don't rise to this to Connor, but it's important that we prove that that's bullshit. Shauno said, Craig, chatted back and forth when you were in Anfield Wolves. I'm sorry for the abuse you get online. I've had my fair share of it, but never to that extent. Look after yourself, whatever you do. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you for dropping in. And like I said, I've fallen out with people over the years. I've had arguments with people over the years. But I've never, ever abused anybody over their sexual orientation, their religion, their nationality, or anything else. It's not me. Davino, love you, Craig. The scumbags are just trying to be relevant and get attention. The false accusations are disturbing and disgusting. We love you. Thank you, mate. Kes, thank you. Nothing Nerd said, I'm with you 100%. Stay strong and don't let these cowards control and get to you. JG94 said, we all support you in the chat. Liverpool will be Liverpool again, or to win again. We're just going through a transitional phase. Nobody should go through this. So I don't really know or have much more I can say on this. I'm going to stay on and stream, by the way, because I've got a job to do. But this was not something I thought I was going to have to deal with today. I think I've told you a story before where the 7-2 clip went viral. And Connor said to me, that's gone viral. And I didn't know what he was talking about at the time because I didn't think what I'd done was something that was going to provoke a viral reaction of the 7-7-7. So this is like that again. In a way, like my mate said, did you say it? Were you about to say it? And I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. Because my conscience is clear that I was never going to say anything along those lines. So it didn't even enter my head when he said to me what he was talking about. But again, white referee called him a numpty. And I might have gone, because maybe I was going to say, somebody in the Discord, Danny, said to me, It looked to me like he might be about to say nonce. And I thought, you know what, Danny, maybe I was. Because that's certainly something that would come out of my mouth when I'm ranting. But I didn't say that, so I probably checked myself. And here's my thought process. I probably checked myself because of what happened with the other referee recently, you know? And what he was at. So I probably didn't want to go. Now, again, a lot of this is assumption because I don't remember it. I remember saying numpty, but I don't remember every thought process in the middle of an angry rant at a referee. But I know I wasn't going to say that word because one, it doesn't make any sense in the context of who I'm talking to, and two, I don't use that word. Now, I'm not saying I've never said the N-word. I've all sang along in a car like everybody else, singing in a rap song, and it comes, of course, but I've never used it towards somebody. So to make that leap and for somebody to think that's the way to go with it, it's just odd. It's odd. And it's why I'm not on X, and it's why I'm not on most of the social media platforms. Because it's no good for my mental health. It's no good for my family. Nothing Art said, I'm with you 100%, stay strong and don't let these cowards control you. We all support you in the chat. Liverpool will win again. I've done that one already. Damien said MG was definitely said mumbling words is okay in his stream. I don't know what that means. You're talking about Goldberg saying mumbling words is okay. Well, of course it is. We do live content. I'm sure every single person that makes live content has stumbled over words at some point. I've said underneath or overneath at points. Like I'm. You can go back and see many instances of me stumbling over words, and then you guys making a laugh out of it with me, like overneath, and then we have a joke about it. But like numpty, it's a big leap to make, and it's an even bigger accusation to make. Elliot said, stop Craig, you're a legend, we're not going anywhere, we're with you, cancel culture is on its way out, ride it out, we're all in 2 weeks. But like I've said, mate, if it was cancel culture for something I've done, I'd put my hands up. And I don't want to use other examples where other people have done stuff because that's not fair to rehash their stuff. But again, I've said numpty to a white referee, and somehow someone's made the leap to think I was trying to say the N-word and then gone back 9 years through tweets to take one out of context. Stargirl said, I've just logged in. What's happened? Hope you're okay. You've got a lot of friends and I know you to be kind. Right, so for the last time, because I know people drop in and out of streams, so the people tried to say I said, Stargirl, I said I was going to say the N-word when I was ranting at Anthony Taylor and I called him a numpty. But I stumbled over the first syllable of the word or something and somebody decided I wanted to say the N-word and ran with it and that caught on. Then people go back through tweets and find this. The white one. Me replying to my mate, as you can see, there is a little line up above it, saying, yeah, mate, you're a big half English, half Italian P word. Now you've been told we could have a contender for the wanker's wanker. So I'm clearly talking to a friend, and underneath, there's even me saying to somebody else, you know I'm messing with him, he's my good mate, I'm taking a piss out of the original poster. So, like I said, it's pretty clear in black and white if you want the context. But in this day and age, for some reason, context isn't important to some people. But even if it wasn't important, even if you just look at it, one, I'm actually insulted that you think I'm so dumb that I call an English, Italian person the P word. It doesn't make any comprehensive sense whatsoever. It just isn't something my brain would process because I'm not that stupid. More than that, I'm insulted because I'm not that stupid. They're cowards, mate. They hide behind a keyboard using fake profile pictures and fake names. You're 100% the person they will be. So we posted up that tweet I showed you a second ago. And do you know what one of the first replies was? No, mate, you're a racist. Even though we've just shown clearly everything in order. No, that's it. I don't like you. So someone said you're a racist, so that's it now. You're a racist. Anyway, let's get in. I promised this gentleman I'd come back to this, Mark. Slot says Salah and Gakpo had a good game. That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't play Chiesa. What was Slot watching? Because it wasn't the same game. So I've always said this, Mark. Managers have to say one thing publicly because they can't chuck a player under the bus. But let's look at every player ratings for people who did that game. And I spent a bit of yesterday looking back through. What we thought we'd seen is pretty much what most people thought they'd seen, which was, again, Salah being nowhere near. I think he even got a 4 on the Echo, if I'm not mistaken, in their player ratings. So, yeah, I expect the manager to have to defend his players publicly because, like I said, he's got to keep morale high, spirits high, and, back his boys publicly. No problem with any of that. But we didn't play well. Those two gentlemen didn't play well. And, now we're sitting second in the league table behind Arsenal, who had their 2-0 win. And then Man City are now within 2 points of us after their victory. And do you know what? Actually, the one thing today that did make me laugh, to see that the team that ended Crystal Palace's 18-game unbeaten streak was Everton. That was something today. And amongst all of this, I did chuckle at. So like I've said, I don't know if this will ever make it to the person who started all this shit, but you've just lost my family about 3.5 grand because my wife cancelled the holiday because she's heartbroken about the shit on social media. So cheers for that. And that's before we even get into my reputation, which I've always said I hold dear. Christopher said, I'm happy to say Connor defended you. Well, of course he did, because he knows it's bullshit. And fair play to Connor, when he seen the tweet thing, he immediately rang me because he didn't want me not knowing about it, because he knows I'd want to know about it. So, Connor's always been like a brother. And, if I ever did do something that caused this channel real problems, he'd be the very first one I'd be apologising to, because it's his reputation attached to my name, and I take that seriously. So that's it. That's all I can say on that. I'm dumbfounded though. Like, numpty became, he's a racist. It's actually astounding. Where am I? Okay. We lose 2 games in the Premier League, and so has every team now. So let's keep the faith. I think, Paul, bigger context though on the Liverpool stuff. Yes, we've lost 2 games in the Premier League, but we've also lost 3 games on the bounce, and it's been in a short period of time where we've gone from having a 5-point lead. Like, there was one point when Arsenal were playing Newcastle a couple of weeks ago where there could have been an 8-point gap. If we had won our game against, I think it was Palace that weekend, and Arsenal, who played before us, or I think, or playing, no, they played after us, they're 1-0 down going into the latter stages. So there's a world where this could have been an 8-point gap, but it just goes to show you the swings in football. So now we're behind Arsenal by a point, and we're only 2 points ahead of Manchester City. So it's definitely game on now, but we don't have much more wiggle room before this becomes a full-blown crisis. And that's the thing that Arna probably has to navigate for the first time in his Liverpool career. A mini crisis. Because, losing a game or 2 on the bounce, depending on the context of competitions, if we're already through in the Champions League and he's putting out a weakened team like he did against PSV, you don't get too fussed by that. because you know the context of the run. But now, I do think it's a bit of his first real managerial mini crisis to deal with. Corbyn said, Craig, this is defamation of character. Here for you. Of course it is. But like I said, who am I going to go after? A faceless name on Twitter? At least with the emails, the police were able to act and arrest the person who made the threat. And I even came on that night and thanked the police for their swift action on that one. And the UK anti-terror squad, I can't remember the name of the department, they were informed on it. But I still showed up to do my show at the venue because I wasn't letting people down, despite the threats. Unfortunately, your success and personality will spark envy and hate from other morons. Your viewers have your back. So, it's the success part I always kind of chuckle at, because I don't view myself as successful. I'm not United Stand. I'm not AFTV. I'm not in that league of money or views. I'm doing all right. We're growing. I'm happy. And we're about to break ground on an office that I've saved up 5 years with the company to build. I've never been more excited by it. And then this drops in our laps, sorry, I'm repeating myself. Dave, I want to bring this one up because it has a funny story to it. So you said I was impressed by how many United fans are coming to defend you. They know you're a decent man. The funny thing about the reason I'm laughing about that is, so I told you guys I'd made a series of videos for when I was away. One of those videos is my top 5 fan bases that I've interacted with online and why. And I go through in the video and I explain that, I'm not saying these are the best 5 fan bases on the planet, but I'm saying these are the ones that I've always interacted with and have enjoyed interacting with. And the United fans were top of that list. I mean, I've given away the end of that video, but there's a reason why they were top of the list, Dave, because I've always said to you, United fans to me have always been really good. They know we've a rivalry. It's a footballing rivalry. It's a rivalry filled full of banter. And when they come in to have a pop and we lose, I love it because I know it'd be the other way around and I'd be on there giving them it if we win. So I never have any issues with that. They're good people. And they've always been good to me, the United fan base. Of course, our own fan base has as well, but it didn't surprise me when I read your comment, Dave, because United fans have always been good to me and I always appreciate that. Stargirl said, I know from talking to you, you hate prejudice and in fact go out of your way to combat things like that. To all the haters, Craig dislikes racism, prejudice and goes out of his way to call it out. Well, yes, you've exchanged emails with me behind the scenes where we've discussed exactly these topics, Stargirl. And we've discussed both of our disdain for, well, I don't want to get into the details of our private emails, but for behaviour that does come from a place of hatred of religion or race or sexual orientation. Go on your holiday, it might be what you need. It's too late. My wife cancelled it earlier on because none of us are in a headspace. For me to even go through an airport takes a lot of effort because of my Asperger's and anxiety. I have to go through a process which includes a build-up, and anybody who deals with mental health or who sees a psychiatrist or psychologist will know the process I'm talking about. I have to visualise it and go through these steps. But it starts from the couple of weeks beforehand, preparing yourself for it. So between that and my son being upset about it and my wife obviously being upset about it, that's what happened today. So that's gone. It is what it is. No point in going away if people aren't happy or relaxed about it. I didn't know what am I facing in the airport. People see me. I needed to clear my reputation before I do anything. I'm going over to the Liverpool United game in, what is it now? 2 weeks today. I need you to clear and explain all of this before I go to that game, because I don't want people seeing me and thinking I'm anything like these accusations. Eh? Well, to be fair, mate, Voltmad is doing all right for you, lad, so far, MB. I seen he scored a penner for you today, if I'm not mistaken. Did you get your money back? A little bit. One portion of it. So the flights, no, lost. Car hire, no, lost. One of the hotels we were going to stay in, couldn't get refunded on. But the second, because we were breaking it up, was 5 days here and 6 days there. So the 6 day one, yes, we were able to cancel and get some refund on. But ultimately we're out about $3,000 probably. But I understand wholeheartedly why my wife didn't want to jump and go with that, because I wasn't in the humour to go either, if I'm being honest with you. You know, didn't I should be getting ready to go to the airport. My flight was had to be in the airport for about 4 a.m. It's yeah, it's on top of the Boston trip a few years ago that we lost out on because of a misplaced visa form, or not misplaced, an incorrect visa application form. That cost us about $6,000 that we lost, and we lost a show in Boston. And now, like I said, I'm not blaming anybody for the holiday being cancelled. That's a family decision. But I'm just trying to explain the impact these things have. Who are they upset about, the situation or you? Well, of course the situation, because I didn't do anything. So they couldn't be upset with me because I haven't done anything. You know? If I had said the N word and I was getting all this pushback, I'd understand. And I'd be on here still apologising, putting my hands up and saying whatever I needed to say, whatever it needs context to even talk about a hypothetical. But if I said it, I'd be on here apologising and taking what comes my way, because I don't go and hide. I'm always in front of camera. So these idiots on social media basically ruined your holiday. Pretty much. And like I said, this is off the back of just having to deal with the police for threats about my son, my shows, my family. That ended up with somebody being arrested. I mean, I don't know what to say. It just feels like it feels so insane that the whole thing is a situation. Don't you have to fill out an encyclopedia of a document to be allowed into the US again? Yeah, so I have to get a 10-year holiday visa. So I'm just not allowed to use the visa waiver program, the ESTA. So yeah, I'm not barred from going into America or anything. I just can't use that one particular thing that we used to use. When you book a holiday to America, you could go on and apply and pretty much straight away get your approval, and you could go then, pretty quickly within 2-3 days of your trip if you needed to. Now I'd have to go in, fill out a load of forms, go into the embassy, have an interview. But with that one, it was on us. The process felt very harsh, but it was on us because we used the wrong visa. That I've no issue with, other than it's a pain in the ass. But it was on us. We made that mistake. Ronald, if you don't mind, mate, I don't want to go back over it all again. I'm not trying to be rude, dude. I spent an hour now explaining it over and over, and I feel like I'm boring people. So it'll be there if you want to just watch it back, man, a little bit later. Or start right at the start of the stream explaining it. Stephen said, much love to you and your family. You're a kind and thoughtful man. Never stop being you. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Don't let the hate win. You're the best, bro. Thank you. Look, for all of the people that are here to say a kind word, thank you. Because most of you will know me, so you know that this isn't me. And it never would have been me. It's just unfortunate, sad, and I keep underestimating social media. I keep underestimating how low people can go on there. But I'm glad I'm not on there. Right, let me see if there's other comments. Rangers fired Russell Martin. Well, to be fair, I'm surprised he's lasted this long. The thing that always gets me about Russell Martin is he seems to be a bit Ruben Amorim-ish in that he doesn't have any intention to alter his style. He goes in and he wants to play out from the back and he wants to play that style of football. And I think the style of football takes a particular type and caliber of players, and at the clubs he's been at, those players aren't really capable of doing that at the highest level. So no surprise to me that he's gotten fired, because, well, I don't pay too much attention to Scottish football, but from what I can gather, it's been a pretty poor start to the season. Sorry, I'm fucking still shaking here. Wayne said, we're all here for you. Much love for myself and Kaylee. Thank you, mate. Stargirl said, don't let the bastards get you down. So it's not the people that know me I'm concerned about, because I'm not this person or wouldn't have said it. It's the people who just hear the mistruth, the falsehoods, and run with it, because either they don't like me, or they don't know me, or somebody that they get on with says it, and they assume, well, I like this person, so therefore it must be true, because they've told me something. All over numpty. Numpty. For the love of God. Numpty. Like, let me just say one thing to you. If I ever am going to get cancelled, and I won't, but if I ever do cross that line, this is the honest side of me coming out. If I said that word or said anything, I wouldn't stop at one, because being honest, my brain would go, right, Craig, you're going to be hung for a sheep as a lamb here, so have at it. If I'm going to unleash something that isn't even in me, but if I was, it wouldn't be one word. I promise you. I would rant and rant and rant, but I didn't, because it isn't me. And I ranted, but numpty, that's it, numpty. That's what you tried to cancel me with, numpty. Because I went numpty. And again, not to a black man, not to an Asian man, not to an African man, nope, to a white, bald referee, numpty. And somebody says he was trying to say the N-word. He was going to say the N-word to a white, bald English referee. But yeah, some people actually think, because my mate said to me, I was saying it about Frimpong. I was like, huh? He didn't even play the game. He wasn't on the pitch. So how could I be saying it about Frimpong? Squeaky said the AA family's behind you. Thank you. Look on you as a mate, bro. F off to the hater. Paul Donnelly said, first of all, calling the ref the N-word makes no sense. Second of all, the context is all there in the video. People are so stupid. But, Paul, they go back 9 years to find a tweet where the P word is in the tweet and ignore the context of the tweet as well. That I'm talking to a mate who's just being called that by somebody else. Which, you know, that page there underneath shows at Suze Watson. You do know I'm messing with at Show Me the Money LFC is my good mate. I'm talking about the original poster, or I'm taking the piss out of the original poster. But they don't look for the context or the attaching tweets. They just go, here's a tweet with a bad word in it. Craig's a racist. So that's what they went looking for after the numpty situation didn't pan out too well for them. They went for a deep dive 9 years into the X account. 9 years. And that's the best they could come up with in 9 fucking years. Wesley, thank you, bro. Sorry you're going through this. Other rubbish. Keep your head up. Thank you. Right, let's talk football. So obviously now we're in start to an international break, and my first hope is always in these moments that none of our players come back injured. So in one breath this week, I was sad for Federico Chiesa that he didn't get called up to the Italian squad after there'd been some talk that Gattuso was maybe going to call him up. So I'd be a liar if I told you when I seen he wasn't called up that I didn't kind of breathe a sigh of relief, because as much as I want him to get minutes, I want him to get minutes with us, and I want him, I want Arne using him. So I'm still baffled from the game yesterday as to, one, why we seem to have no faith in our right backs. Two, what's going on with the front line and how can we make it gel. But I'm just, like probably a lot of people now, I'm hopeful that the lads don't pick up any new knocks on international duty. Frozen said, I've always had your back on TikTok comments with the attention seekers and won't stop now. We believe in you. The best is yet to come. Well, it is yet to come. The best definitely is yet to come, because, like I said, we're going to build our studio. We signed off on it yesterday, paid the deposits. So that's going to start later this month. And we're going to have a bigger space. And after listening to your feedback on the stream the other day, where I did ask you what you want us to do content-wise, we're going to have a mix. So we're going to go green screen and real world. So we'll have the best of both worlds, as per your feedback from our discussions the other day. So yeah, we'll get this built, and then we'll start figuring out fitting it out and the expense of that and what we can afford and stuff like that. But that I'm so proud and happy about, because you guys have known for ages I do this in my living room, and I block my wife and everybody from being able to use the living room for most of the evening. So to be able to actually just say, "Here you go, look, have the living room back. I'm off out to the office," is something I'm incredibly proud that we've gotten to the point that we can do. So yeah, but it reminds you how vulnerable all of this is. I've always had a fear as a YouTuber, and I'm sure other YouTubers would back me on this. You always know how fickle your existence is on YouTube, because one brand working with, or a betting company that do something that's against YouTube's policies, or one mistake in what you can give on a membership, you're always worried that your whole livelihood can be switched off like that without much of a comeback. So to have lasted this long and get to the point where we could build a studio, I was really proud with, because I don't know if people really know, but Craig, if you ask the council permission to build a studio, don't need it, mate. Doesn't need planning permission. It's not a permanent structure, and it's under 25 square meters. And I'm going to be buying this house anyway, so either way I don't need the permission. Well, either way it's happening, let's just put it that way. But I forgot my train of thought now, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I forgot my train of thought. I shouldn't have read out another comment, that threw me off. Paul said, do you not think it made sense for Slot to not bring on Frimpong yesterday? The last couple of games being bad, could barely make an accurate pass. No, I get that, Paul, mate. I get that. Like, Frimpong hasn't been in the greatest of form, no problem with you on that. But I guess it's worrying to me, mate, that we've got two right backs and the manager doesn't seem to be happy with performances. I guess some of his unhappiness with the fullbacks, if I'm reading what Arna says right, there's been a lot of yellow cards being picked up. Kirkes on one side, and I think Bradley picked up a yellow yesterday. So some of it is to do with him not wanting fullbacks on yellows, especially younger fullbacks who maybe wouldn't have the experience to see through a game like a Robertson or Trent before that, who would have been, 26, 27. So maybe some of it's to do with that. And on the Frimpong thing, you're right. You didn't exactly pull up any trees when he was playing against Galatasaray, but he was also playing out of position at that point. He was playing in Mo's position, right wing. So yeah, I've no problem with him not bringing Frimpong on yesterday. The Chiesa one, though, truly, man, Paul, that's astounded me because, it was very clear we could have done with mixing that up yesterday. It wasn't Salah's day, it wasn't Gakpo's day. And for Chiesa to just not get any minutes just felt really strange. I couldn't understand that as a fan, why he wasn't one of the changes when we were, looking to go and win it. Elmir said, I don't give a crap about fake allegations. How's the holiday cancelled? You never walk alone from a foreigner. Always felt your inclusivity. Because, like I said, mate, we didn't know how this was going to go when that shit came out today. And what I don't want is to be walking through an airport with my young son, 13, who thinks, like any child, looks up to their dad. I don't want people to be shouting racist or sniggering something under their breath before I've had my chance to properly address the situation. So between that and, as you can understand, it's been a lot for my family lately to go through. Some of it we couldn't share with the kids, some of it we have, the threats and all that stuff. And this was our escape, and it was taken, the goodness was taken out of it, as my mum and dad used to say to me. So nobody was in the mood. And like I said, I didn't want to walk through an airport unsure what my son was going to see thrown at his father. Said, seriously, so proud of you for being able to get your studio. Been a long time coming. You know what, though, is one good thing about it is, we looked at it maybe end of COVID time. I looked at the cost of building it, and it was, and I'm not exaggerating, it was more than 50% more expensive than it is now. So by waiting the couple of years and saving up more, we actually ended up saving money on the studio in the long run, because I don't know if the costs of things have come down or whatever, but I remember being quoted astronomical money at the time, and just thinking, oh shit, that's probably the end of that then. So yeah, we said, my wife just happened to be chatting to a builder one day. My wife's gym, some of the gym is rented out from the builder to part of the people in the gym. So my wife was just chatting to this builder one day, and she was saying that we were looking to get something done, and he said, well, look, if you want me to give you a quote, I'll come out. And he came out and he gave us the quote, and I looked at it and I kept looking at it going, is this right? Like this? And he said, yeah, that's right. So fair enough. And cracked on with it and paid the deposit yesterday, and starting work, I believe, latter part of this month, all going to plan. Adzer, keep your head up and don't let the trolls win. I and everybody here would never think those things. Such a great man. Thank you, mate. But it's not you guys I'm worried about, because I know people that know me. will hear my explanation and know it's all nonsense. It's the people that don't know me, but that know of me, that will recognise me, that will go, ah, you're that Liverpool lad from TikTok. You're the racist. That's the stuff I'm worried about, because, you know, you can't correct every single person and whip out, a page full of documents to go, well, as you can see, this is all nonsense. As a British Asian who has experience of racism over the past 2 years, I've not heard anything remotely racist from you. You do the opposite, advocating community and togetherness. Thank you. That means a lot, Jonathan. And firstly, let me say I'm sorry that you've had to endure anything. I often speak with, I don't want to drop names, but there's somebody in our Discord group who goes out with an Indian girl. And he often tells me some of the stories about some of the crap that's been thrown at them when they're out and about, and it breaks my heart thinking about it. So, like I said, think I'm an asshole, no problem, I get it. Don't like me, cool. Don't think my football opinions are right, no problem, let's talk about it. But lie about me, that's low. Is that I remember those bonkers quotes, to be honest. Loads of people wanting expansions during COVID. I don't know what it was at the time, Izzy. I don't know what was so high, but I remember thinking, well, that's the end of that. And I wouldn't be able to get it done. So, yeah, I'm so happy on that side of it, And do you know what the really weird thing? I'm so happy I can't wait to show you guys, because I'm only getting the studio because of you. So I can't wait to share what you've allowed me to do, as well as the course of making some different types of content and some fun stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a building project, so you always have two fingers crossed that it all goes to plan. And yeah, so as I said, from my life story, and I'm not looking for sympathy, but I want to just tell you how I got here, because it is important. And it all adds into the context of why I'm so offended by this. So look, I was a guy who owned a couple of taxis and had a fairly decent revenue stream as a young man in his early 20s. And my father died. He drank himself to death, and it sent me into a bit of a tailspin, and my mental health went down. And there's some other stuff that goes along with that at the time that involves some really shitty stuff from my mother that I'm not ready to talk about yet. So he dies, and I'm living with my missus at the time, and I go into a bit of a tailspin, and I lean quite heavily into medication, and I end up with, and I'm being really bluntly honest here, I ended up with drug-induced psychosis. And I ended up in a lockdown ward in St. John of God's Hospital in Dublin. And I lost my taxis. I lost my business. I was in about 100 grand's worth of debt. So I left the hospital with still a dead father, nowhere to live. I had my missus, which is the thing I'm so grateful for, and nothing else. So move along a few years, you get back, you find, you work through some of the stuff, you start paying off what you owe. I'm working jobs in car parks, I'm working jobs in online gaming companies at night, 11 a.m. to 8 a.m. And you're just trying to chip away at stuff and carry on. And then during all of that, I lose my job, and I end up on disability allowance. During that time, my mum kills herself, takes an overdose of tablets and kills herself. And I'm an only child, no brothers, no sisters. And I got fucked out of my inheritance by my mum's second husband, and everything went to his family. So my family got nothing from a situation where my dad worked 2 jobs to pay for a house, that my mum remarried, and it all went to my mum's new husband's family. So this was maybe 3 years ago. I was doing the channel at that point. 3 years ago where all this stuff happened, and I had to say, I either get obsessed by the hatred and the anger and the bitterness, and it will break me, and it will ruin the channel, or I draw a line under it, take it on the chin, and move on. So I decided to go with the latter. I'm going to just say, right, that shit happened. Let them have it. I've got my own life to live. So I go on and I keep making my content, but I dedicate myself to it more and more. And it keeps building and building and building. And I won't lie, I am partly driven by a fuck you attitude because, you know, I want to show these people that I'll make it my own. And I don't, you know, you tried to screw me over, but I'll make it. So I keep chugging away. And I get to the point we're at now, where this is my job. I'm about to maybe buy my house. We're getting our office. And I've done it the hard way, with no help from anyone, no leg up, no financial anything. No manager that has connections, no TV channel giving me a break, no publication, nothing. I did it with me and Connor and hard work and a great audience and a great community. And I'm still here. So for this shit, like, to me it's so insignificant in one way because of what I've gone through to get to this point where I had nothing. No family left. Nothing except my missus, who's still here with me. You know, this is insignificant nonsense from people on social media who have no happiness in their lives. They want to just try to take someone down. It's all fucking nonsense. Far Isle said, those of us lucky enough to know you personally cannot speak more highly of you. The shit stirrers can do one. Well, thank you, Dave. Yeah, I met Dave in America when we were over in Florida, personally on a couple of occasions, and had the pleasure of spending time with him. Absolute gent. Thoughts on the Verts article earlier from Sports Bible saying he's unhappy at Liverpool and Alonso reportedly told Madrid to monitor him. I honestly haven't seen it, mate. In a weird way, I kind of wondered when something like that was going to happen, because it's the next step of trying to shaft Liverpool, is like now say that the British record signing you've brought in is unhappy. I don't know Florian Wirtz personally, so I've got no idea how he feels or doesn't feel. But I do know one thing, that the club will do everything they can to help him to settle, that his teammates will do everything they can to help him to settle. So, you know, where was Real Madrid's money when he was available? So I don't believe it, long and short. I don't believe the article. Cynical Jim said, don't particularly like you, but these accusations are ridiculous. Appreciate that, mate. I mean, like I said, I've no problem if you disagree with me, Jim. Don't like me, don't think my points are right. No problem. I'm here to be debated, or, you know, I'm here to be ridiculed for opinions and stuff I take on football, mate. That's the job. But I do, and, you know, more than you probably will imagine, Jim, you know, that means a lot. You might disagree, you might not like me, like you've said, but the accusation things is horseshit, mate. And I appreciate you saying that. And stick around. I will win you over, Jim. I'm joking. I'm not. I'm awesome. Sorry, I use some humour times to try to smooth it over. But Jim, honestly, mate, I appreciate that. You've never sounded more true. Sending the love. Jordan said, my mum died of an overdose when I was 15. Always here for a chat. Thank you, man. Look, like I've said, I've always been lucky that I've had, you know, access to a psychologist and a wife who's never left my side through thick and thin, ups, downs, never anything. Always just here, supportive. And, you know, without her, I wouldn't be on this planet. So I'm very grateful for all of that. And I'm so sorry what happened to you with your mum, Jordan. It's and do you know what the really sad part is, Jordan? Both my mum and dad's fathers, you know, alcoholism was in both the families. And I remember being a kid when them saying to me that they're not going to make the same mistake that their fathers did. Now, I wouldn't say mothers, because both my grandmothers were absolute saints, just wonderful women who had been through a lot in their lives and were always there for their kids and grandkids, and, you know, just incredibly strong women. So my parents ended up kind of doing the one thing that they said they weren't going to do. But I was watching a documentary about the Dallas Cowboys the other night, and I can't remember the name of the manager's name. It's not Jimmy Johnson. It's the one that came in and won the third Super Bowl for the Cowboys. And I remember him talking about a really difficult situation for him when he was growing up, and he had words with his mum, and then his mum shot herself and killed herself in front of him or in the room next to him. And he said something along the lines of, you get dealt a hand in life, and you can either fold that hand or you can play the son of a bitch out to the end. And like him, I chose to play it out to the end and see what happens, because giving up isn't in my vocabulary. And again, I will break the cycle that my parents spoke about breaking for me. I will break that cycle for my kids. They won't know. They won't have to go through what I went through. Dave said, you're lucky, man, to have a wife like Sabrina, who's 100% behind you. Yeah, she's also... She's the polar opposite of me in many ways as well, Dave. You know, we're very different people in many, many ways. She's a very contented, happy person, and I'm a want more, want better, driven person who, you know, doesn't like to settle. But that works for us because she understands what makes me me, what makes me angry, what makes me me. She understands how to join the dots and how I join the dots in my thinking. Owen, hope you're okay, Craig. Keep giving the best Liverpool channel out there. Always here. Appreciate that, my man. Thank you. Brian, as always, man. You're so kind. Thanks, Brian. I mean, the as you know, Brian, I should be in the airport soon, going on my holidays. That's being cancelled. But I'm still coming to Liverpool with yourself and Vern, and I can't wait to see you both, and of course Laurie as well. So sorry you had to deal with this shite, my good friend. I'm proud and honoured to know you and your wonderful family, and I always have your back. You always do, Brian. Always. You know, Brian flew over for the first live show we did in Dublin. And I didn't really know Brian that well at that point. But he flew over from Boston, and I got to know him more at that point, and his brother, Vern. And it's, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I met another gentleman named Chad as well. And Chad, if you're watching, it's been an absolute honour to get to know you a bit. And, you know, this is what I'm saying. Anyone that does know me would laugh at these stupid accusations, because it couldn't be further from the truth. Batu said, I respect your holiday decision, but I think you need some time off. I'm going to try to find something else. I'm going to try and give it a day or two and see if we can afford to go somewhere else. And maybe we'll have a week away somewhere during this international break. I have to, you know, see what the finances are like, and I have to see what's available and a few other things. So I think it's the right decision as well that she cancelled it, because, you know, she knows what I'm like going through an airport first and foremost. And she also knows what I'd be like if somebody did say something to me in front of my son in the airport. She knows I'll probably land in trouble. So to cancel the holidays was the right decision. She was right. But I just hope over the next day or two, you know, people start to see the context. And I don't want people to, you know, feel sorry for me or anything. I just want people to know the truth. And the truth matters. And Batu said, love from Turkey. Yeah, man, as you know, I've spoken about my love for Turkey many times. Yeah. it is what it is. Yeah. So look, I think I've covered everything that I can possibly say tonight. I still feel like I need to apologise to all of you for this. Even it's not a situation of my making, I still feel like it reflects on all of us because we're a community. And I needed to address why it's all so wrong. Because I just had to. I had to just right the wrong if I could. So yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight. Thank you, Fripsy Dubs. Appreciate you. I don't know next time when I'll be back on because I don't know what's happening yet. But as I said, those videos are all recorded and will be coming out over the international break. You know, if we can find somewhere in our budget that we can get away for a little bit later in the week or something, we might try to figure that out. But for now, I'm just going to have to play it by ear. And if I can ask you to do one thing, if you do see the shit in social media, if you do see people making accusations against me that you now know to be clearly false, and, you know, please just call it out because it's bullshit. And how somebody can see me calling the white referee a numpty and think I wanted to say the N-word in itself is baffling, and then the tweet stuff is just beyond fucking ridiculous. But that's where we're at in the world, so I love you all. Thank you for hearing me out tonight and coming on to chat with me. Yeah,